Still on the front page of the Daily Nation, the problem with Kenya's maize. Let's now shift gears and talk about that in a bit. A looming stockout is raising questions about the country's ability to feed itself. Is it disaster or design, Honorable Mwaura? You've seen this several years, year in, year out. We have a maize deficit, there's an importation. Some people say the maize is already there anyway. So what do you make of this standoff here on the maize issue? Are we fooling Kenyans? Now the CS says that we are not going to import maize after all.
Sometimes back, I was asked to meet a huge number of maize farmers from Rift Valley. And they came to my office and we had a conversation. But something very interesting happened. They were claiming that they were not paid. And I told them, yes, I'm willing to prosecute your case and help you. Then I told them to present documents to me so that I can argue. They never came back.
So there were no documents?
There were no documents.
But they claimed they've not been paid?
Yes, yes. But they were making a lot of claims. There were some few you could tell they were genuine,
yeah.
One or two ladies. But the rest of the people were fraudsters, in my opinion.
People masquerading as farmers.
It is masquerading as farmers. You see, somebody has not been doing farming for 17 years. All of a sudden, they have been able to have 10,000 bags of maize.
So maybe they were the middlemen then, and not the actual
They are not even middlemen. This is just fraud. Okay. This is just fraud. You could even remember the case of Bungoma, where somebody was supposed to have, so it is just a cartel, sorry to say this, because around elections, we'd say that unga must only be 90 kilograms.
Yeah.
It has gone up to 150, shillings. But I think it was 90 shillings, I beg your pardon. But now it has since gone to 150, Trevor. So it means then that was a way of controlling, because of the elections.
Yeah.
But it's a coordination failure in terms of the market. Because the people who are really farming, there's a very great disincentive when you tell them that you're going to import maize because it's not enough and we need to reduce the cost of maize flour. So for me, I think it is just, people are looking for reasons.
Yeah.
It has been documented as early as 2009 that even before this policy is done, some maize is waiting in Durban at the port. So, and people rate billions of shillings. Just do a quick calculation. If you are to import 1 million bags and at a cost of, say, 3,200, while the local market says 2,700, that 500 times 1 million is 500 million. Who pockets this money? And that is why you find people who make huge, huge profits that then are also now infused into election campaign financing.
So now the concern here is if you say there's no coordination in the market, is there a chance that there's an actual deficit? Because we know there's an actual deficit of about 800,000 bags. But if the declaration that is incoming is wrong to begin with, like the middlemen that you're saying, some of them could say that they delivered 13 million bags, but they did not. So is there then a genuine deficit?
Let me ask you a question. If a country like China can feed its own 1.4 billion Kenyans, people, Chinese, how comes we cannot feed?
How difficult is it to feed under 50?
Yes, 50 million.
Yes.
The deficit is actually artificial. It is created. What are our agronomists doing? What are agriculture economics doing in terms of planning? One of the big four agendas is about food security.
Yeah.
You remember the case of Galana Kulalu. But even if you are to incentivize, the small-scale, farmers, I believe, for me, from where I stand, Kenya is able to feed itself. But this deficit must be created.
So who should be held responsible? The agriculture CS?
Yes, and the ministry
boss,
officials.
Who is your party leader? Who should be held responsible?
What did you say about party leaders?
His boss. Who should be held in that chain? How far up should accountability go?
Mwaura, my namesake. I'm talking about the president having people who are supposed to help him. He only have two. He has
so
two
the people
ears
who are supposed to help
and
him
2 eyes and 2 hands.
So the people who are supposed to help him have failed.
Yes, they have failed.
And he's not doing anything. Is he doing something about it?
That is why we are discussing it, so that we can also give our thoughts on what needs to be done.
Honorable Jakabwa, you come in as well. Some see doublespeak from the agriculture CS. The other day he said we must import.
Yes.
I think that was on Sunday. You're saying it's not me who's saying this. Yeah. It's the reality on the ground. Yesterday, we don't have the framework.
He doubles back
to import as well. How do we?
We must appreciate that the rains have failed this country. The last 1 year, we've not had rains. I do not know the stocks that they have in the National Cereals and Produce Board. They should take stock and tell us, these are the bags that we're having. This is the deficit. But my little problem is this. For the last 10 or 15 years, there's always been, we need to import maize, we need to import sugar, and then we go to import that thing. It's not first, like last year, they never bought the maize from the farmers in Kitale and Rift Valley. They went to get middlemen who brought in maize from Uganda. Those guys were paid earlier in time than the farmers. Today, when the farmers were told to sell their maize, I think in the month of April or March, again, they were kept in queue waiting until the brokers would bring in their maize. So at the end of the day, we are killing the farmer. There is no incentive to the farmer. No farmer will be willing to go and plant maize, then when it comes to selling, it doesn't buy, it doesn't sell. When this maize is bought, he's not paid on time. So we are killing the local maize farmer. So my position is simple. Before we import maize, let us do a stock taking. Do what bags do we need? Do we just buy and stock for speculation and for people to make money? That would be my take. The other bit is, if the CS, for whatever reason, the other day you saw him during the Nairobi show, the president was very hard on him. And he told him, dare you import more maize?
As he has been hard on him before. Time and time again.
Of course, this is a management, the president is managing the maize, I mean, is a cabinet. So I'm certain that is why maybe even Kiunjuri is not certain not to import. Is speaking, is blowing hot and cold at the same time. Yeah. But the buck squarely stops with the CS on this matter.
Honorable Shakil.
You know, in Africa, over 1,000+ years ago, 2,000-3,000 years ago, the Pharaoh of Egypt used to have strategic reserves. No, there was a fact. Yeah. It's a fact. He had strategic reserves. I've been in the parliament now this third term, and I've heard about so many times about strategic reserves. We have enough strategic reserves to take us to such and such. Then we went to go and see the strategic reserves at one time. They weren't there. This is planned for failure. You know what we say? There are certain things which are planned for failure. This is even when we've just come back from China, we were talking about these issues. You are planning something to fail. And then you will, once you've planned it to fail, then you go to the boss, the president and the cabinet or whatever, with presenting those facts that you have planned for. And then you've also planned how to take advantage of the situation. There is state capture, and Kenya is the first country in Africa, not South Africa. We started state capture a long time ago. State capture of the Kenya Farmers Association that was left to us by the colonialists. They were looking at these things. State capture by the sugar, state capture of maize, all the basic food materials. It has happened everywhere in the world that there has been certain programs. I remember in India and in certain other countries that they have given rice at a very low rate and has caused a lot of problems to others. But the situation is the genuinity. It appears, there are monsters in our system who do not care about Kenyans, point blank. They just don't care. You will soon find that they will state that the strategic reserves that we had all are, what's the word, I think?
Depleted.
Not depleted. They've got this, they're rotten. Yes? But do you understand? And they have silos built everywhere. You see, in the 11th Parliament, in the 10th Parliament, I witness, and I can give you names, but I will not hear, of people who were standing in line in Parliament to be given letters. And they were told, you know what you do?
What was the content of the letters?
To go and get maize. Was it in the 11th Parliament? I can't remember. 10th Parliament. To get maize from the minister.
I hope none of them are on this table.
I don't know. I don't think so. They were not there. I was not there. Okay. But we blew the whistle. You know what they were telling us? It was only to be given to millers. And what they were telling us there, you go to a particular firm here which makes small posho mills. I know some of these are very senior people in some of these companies.
I would want to imagine, without cutting you short, that a motion was brought in Parliament then for the Minister for Agriculture, I think, to resign, and it was prosecuted.
Yes.
What was the outcome of that?
Hold on, we'll tell you. I'll tell you, this is it. You see, that is what happened. So a group of concerned Kenyans, I'm proud to say I was one of them, we started fighting this thing. How can you go and buy a posho mill for maybe 300,000 or 500,000 and come and say you are now a miller? And then you are given a letter like this, small little thing, and you go to the minister, they give you the letter, and you're met in the car park with people in a car full of money. I know one person got a Mercedes. He even said, I wanted a Mercedes and the balance in money. He was even given the key. He or she was even given the key. So once we found out this, and you know, a lot of people were involved. Who was the Minister of Finance then? Who was the Minister of Agriculture? So I'm saying that these sort of things, as you said, there was a motion that was brought.
We are listening in disbelief.
No, this I can tell you on God's honest truth. But, wallahi, and I'm saying this now,
yes,
but I will not state the people. The situation became then there was a motion in Parliament for him to be removed. The amount of money that was passed in $100 bills in the Parliament, we were at that time in the old chamber, the amount of $100 bills we were being given, people were being given. That is where. Huh? I can tell you for a fact that I didn't. Okay. And I will tell you also, there were 3 or 4 of us who raised this thing. Millie Diambo, myself, and a few others. We raised it with Mata Karua. Yeah. We raised it. You were there. Look at the papers. You'll find out. And we were warned.
And then now you'll tell us how you're dealing with that as APNAC now.
Exactly. That's what we are.
But maybe before you leave that,
briefly, because we're due for a break.
Before you leave that topic, I'm certain that the motion was brought and it failed in Parliament.
It failed.
It failed.
You are certain? Why are you certain?
Because I was watching the news.
Oh, you were okay.
I was watching.
It was failed because of.
Did it fail because of the $100 bills that you're talking about?
That's correct. It had to be voted against.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was not about how bad it's going to affect the Kenyans. It was more about how the MP's pockets have been laced.
No, I wish that at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sheila, your thoughts?
I think if we need to look at the problems we've had in maize production and in the sector, because we don't do a sort of audit, then there are problems and scandals of yesteryears will continue to affect us. I mean, I remember this same situation happening, was it in 2008 when you had the big maize scandal, and the honourable members of Parliament have alluded to what happened in Parliament at that time. But people have continued to, no one has been punished for this. And because people don't see there are no repercussions, so this continues to happen. No one is held to account. And we really have not looked into what is really ailing that industry. We know that for a fact, I understand that we need about 60,000 bags of maize for the country per day. That translates to about 1.8 million a month, and then about 40-something in a month. But then with all these figures, why is it so hard to project what then the country needs? And then we know that also National Cereals and Produce Board has also said that they have inefficient silos and they're not able to hold maize for a long time. So we need to look at all these challenges and then come up with solutions to the problems. But also I think the key thing is accountability. We need to hold those responsible.
All right. All right, let's take a quick break here on Daybreak. When we come back now, we get into that conversation around legislation and draft, and it is going to touch a bit on the front page of the Standard, where Baba Yao, wife and daughter, to face graft charges. We're not going to get into the merits of the case, but we're going to look at the counties. They've been accused to be the latest pilferage points.
That's right.
So what does APNAC have in plan for that as well? And also, we have some feedback coming
through. That's right. We have 2 tweets that we want to put up for you on the screen right now.
See, Engineer Lazaro says shortages of essential commodities are being stage managed by cartels so that they can be given a go-ahead to do the importation. Man eat man nation. Only strict laws would save this country.
Don't we have strict laws?
We do. The question is the implementation.
I can hear Honorable Mwaura murmuring under his breath. Francis Kigondu, maize farming is cartel-driven. Many fake farmers. I think the government should allow the market to balance itself. If one wants to import, let them do so themselves from Uganda or Tanzania or wherever. Kenyans must also accept that unga prices should fluctuate like other commodities. I'm not sure everyone agrees with him, because if you think about a person who could not afford that when it was 90 shillings, what are they doing right now when
it's 150? But there's a directive by the government itself to keep it at 90. It is not. But what's going on?
That's right.
Nobody's taking responsibility for that.
Okay.
We'll come back in just a bit to talk about graft and legislation. Keep your tweets coming. Hashtag Daybreak at Trevor Mbija, at ZZK, at Wega Mwaura. We'll sample some of them. 22422 is the SMS line. If you have any questions for the legislators in the House, whether how they're going to fight corruption when their own House has been accused.